Well, as promised, here we are, back for a little chit chat with Satish, continuing the series that we had started last time, speaking on the musicality of Padams. Satish, thank you so much for that beautiful singing of the Padam. It takes, as I've been saying every time when we've been doing this semi-live thing, is that for us the greatest joy is being able to dance to live music. There is an immediacy to that performance that is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
But when we were discussing this Padam, last time, if you all remember, we had spoken a great deal about how the musicality of Padams is often compromised when it is sung for dance, because dancers need a certain varnametta to be sung in a certain manner for it to be absolutely in sync with the way we do our footwork. But just like we do that because we want to be 100% sure of the expressions that the content demands, in my opinion, and I think we are in agreement here, the composers of those padams also take the musicality into consideration based on the content that they themselves have put forward. Now, Kshetragya's padams have a great deal of poignancy in the content, and he has taken some extremely ghana ragams and he has made them so easy to understand the feelings of. For instance, in this particular padam, Kamboji, to most of us, most dancers will agree, is the ragam in which the shabdam begins. Right? And that is not really something that you think a great deal of expressive content with. But here, this was so beautifully used, this ragam. As a singer, how do you feel that the same ragam, when it is used differently and by different composers, you've sung Kamboji Padams for us, other Kamboji Padams for us as well. So we'd just like to understand from you, as a dancer, really, I don't think we concentrate so much on the ragam. It is just that it has to be some music that makes us experience that particular mood. But I think for a singer, the ragam makes a great deal of difference. And how do you feel this particular padam and Kamboji other compositions differ? What, in your opinion, is something special that Kshetragya has done with this particular ragam?
Thank you, Akka. Especially if you talk about this padam, and especially if you talk about a singer's experience of that particular raga, with respect to the padam that we sing, it is the Sahitya Bhava that brings out the raga more beautifully. Because if you look at any padam in Kamboji, let's take Edirillada or Parani, that is Padari Vargudu or Bala Vinave, you will see that the basic phrases of the raga, which helps a person to identify that it is Kamboji, all those phrases are present in the padam. We will not talk about the shabdam because the shabdam has a typical phrase of
cadence,
Kamboji.
Yeah, the cadence is different.
Yes, the structure is but when it comes to padam, the tala is different for most padams. Like in Kshetragya, in this case it is Trishra Triputa. In Edirilla, the Pani, it is Rupaka Talam. So the words and the spacing between the words and what the words actually mean, be it Telugu or Tamil, they, if sung in that particular raga, in that particular phrase, brings out a certain color of that raga.
Okay.
If you just sing it as an akaram, it is a phrase. Like for example, if it is this is Kamboji, a phrase. If you sing it in Sahitya, then you enjoy the phrase more because the gaps are different according to the words, and of course the feeling that you put in the word. For example, the same phrase if sung in Sahityam would be Bala Minave Varada. So because of the Sahityam, we somewhat feel the feeling of the Sahitya kind of makes you feel that the raga is very, very beautiful. If you sing the same phrase for, say, a padam, which probably is Khandita, a different mood, a different Naika, then you will experience that rasa in this raga. So the phrase is basic, but it is the sahitya that brings out the beautiful contours of the raga.
Yeah, you mentioned Yedirillada, right? For those of our viewers who don't know, we did present Yedirillada a few weeks ago, but Yedirillada is a Swadhina Bhatraka Naika, and therefore the music is very different. She may not be with her Swami, but she is completely confident that he is hers, and therefore the music is very uplifting. It is sung in a very different phraseology, as Satish said. Bala Vinave is a Vipralabdha. She's not a Khandita, she's a Vipralabdha, and the basic nature is pathos. And somehow, whenever I thought of Kamboji, I never thought of Kamboji as a ragam that could express pathos.
Yes.
I would not choose Kamboji. I mean, you and I have done so many compositions together. I've never suggested Kamboji for something that creates pathos. But this particular padam has been phrased so beautifully. So, Satish, if I could request you to sing the same set of notes in Yedirillada and in Bala Vinave. There are certain places where the phraseology is more or less the same.
Yes.
But because of the content, their impact is very different. Can you just sing that for us and show us the difference? Because that is something that we as dancers often resonate to without understanding.
Yes. For example, if you just take the word Yedirillada and if you take Bala Vinave, just these two words, the phrase is simple in Kamboji. Like it is. If you put it in, if you apply it in the words Yedirillada, it's obviously because of the intrinsic laya in the word Yedirillada and the force that you apply, because Yedirillada actually means something that doesn't have an equal, incomparable. So if you sing that phrase in Yedirillada, you will automatically put a force into it.
Okay.
So you will sing it as Yedirillada, that force will come. You will obviously not sing it as Yedirillada, you will not make it mellifluous.
Yeah.
So that force comes akka. So Yedirillada. At the same time, if you look at Bala Vinave, then it will be what? Bala Vinave. Maybe the notes, that is, the phrases may differ a little bit. It is different here or there. But mostly the idea of the phrase or the raga bhava is the same. But if you say Bala Vinave, it obviously means, oh friend,
dear friend,
you please listen to me. So in that, if you apply the raga Kamboji, the feel will automatically differ. One more example, usually in Kamboji, the note Dhaivata is very important, where we usually do Nyasa. Nyasa means taking one note and singing around it. A main note which kind of establishes the raga bhava. Dhaivata, for example, the. So when we sing in a concert, it is the ni the ba ma ga ma ba the ni the. Use that note to center around it.
This is very familiar from Kana
Avalanin, yes. What is the line in Charanam? Mamadanam sada vidumbana madanal talenma. So that Dhaivata note is so prominent that now it is actually striking to understand that in Charanam of many of the compositions, this Dhaivata note is used. For example, even in Bala Vinave,
there's usually a shift in the mood or in the content.
In the mood or where you want,
half.
Yes, or wherever you want to expand.
Okay.
For example, in Sanchari, in Yedirillada, you will take Vadi and then Velavarai. That note, that line is in Dhaivata. The bass is Dhaivata. Vadi and then Vadi Velarai Kutiva. So in music, a Sanchari or music expansion actually means taking one note and singing phrases around it. So Dhaivata is an important note. In the same way, in dance also, what you mean by Sanchari is
you take the mood and you spread it around.
You build on it, you do abhinay around it.
You approach it from different points.
So you don't expand on every line, I believe.
No, we don't. Yes. In fact, you take the Sanchari in dance for us. In Sanchari, what we do is that, which is known to most of you, but Sanchari, we take the main idea, but we don't stick to the main idea. It's not Padapadartha.
Yes, exactly.
Artham. It is a Bhavartha.
Yes, exactly.
So we go around and maybe tell a totally different story, something that's completely unrelated to that particular word, but has the same impact that phrase is supposed to have. So I guess that's the same thing that you're trying to say is for the music.
Exactly, Akka. So I think the composer is very intelligent to take this particular note or take phrases around this note to use it for places where it demands an expansion in dance also.
In Balavinave, where would you
Same
say
way,
that first?
Chinnanate nundi.
Okay.
Chinnanati modalu chinna chirta. So this particular note is very suitable for expansion. So I think that is where the intelligence of the composer comes, or the appropriateness comes, the auchityam comes, where they take phrases around Daivata and they place it for lines in a padam or in a composition where it demands an expansion both on the side of the dancer and as well as for the musician.
So for as a musician, which composition in Kambodi would you say brings you the most satisfaction that you have sung? That if you were to choose Kamboji as a ragam for one of your solo performances, which item would you choose?
For a solo performance, obviously I'll use, I would like to choose, say, a Kriti of Tyagaraja or a Kriti of Muthuswami Dikshitar. Or there are umpteen number of composers who have composed in Kamboji because it's a major raga.
Yeah.
It's a Ghana raga.
But I'm saying, you, for instance, which is the one that you've sung the most times when you've had to sing Kamboji?
I've sung O Rangashahi of Tyagaraja.
Can you just sing a little bit of it for us?
O Rangashahi. In fact, the most beautiful part of this is O means he's calling Ranganatha, and how this word O, the addressing to the Lord, has been so beautifully used in Kamboji in various sangatis
Okay.
to call the Lord.
Okay.
I think it is equally very beautiful danceable composition.
Yeah, must be.
So it's the first sangati is O, then O Ranga, O Ranga, O Rangashahi. So in various ways you call the Lord. So the beauty, again re-emphasizing on the fact, on the point that the beauty of the sangatis come out beautifully with the help of the sahitya. The sahitya conveys. Yeah. Pila chite o yeah. Again the note Daivata. O yeah no chu ra. The composer says O yeah, so won't you even respond by saying O? Since I am calling you O, after listening to it, won't you even say O? So that beautiful point comes out in the note Daivata again. Daivata is such a strong note in Kamboji that the composer has intelligently used it in the. So I think, the most important places in a composition, where it really demands an expansion or where the feeling has to come out beautifully and powerfully, this note Daivata is beautifully used. As in the case of Bala Vinave, where Chinnanati, or in Edrillada, where we take Vadi and then Velavari, or you take any important composition in Kamboji, even in Kritis. I mean, if we go through it, we'll find that most important places will be circling around the note Daivata. See how the raga is beautifully used. Shai means somebody who is
Lying
reclining.
down.
So the music is in the lower octave.
Flattens out.
Yes.
No, this is just what I'm saying. I mean, if you, I don't know how many of you noticed this, but I can say from my experience that Yedrillada, Balavinave and O Rangashahi to me are all completely different in terms of how they impact me when I'm listening to the use of the ragam. And this is the genius of the composer. This is what, just like we pride ourselves on being able to recognize beautiful choreography. Ate's choreography just seems so apt, for instance. It's the same way that a composer picks up the words that they have written and then they go about setting it in a ragam. First they choose a ragam that has that range to express the exact meaning of that. Not all ragams have this range. You need a Sampurna ragam first of all, I think, usually, or at least some major notes that have the possibility for prastharam in some manner.
That is if you talk about choosing ragas for padams, usually the traditional padams are in Rakti ragas. Rakti ragas means ragas with lot of beauty. Rakti can literally translate into the meaning beauty.
Beauty, yeah.
And these are usually traditional ragas with lot of gamakas. So usually you would not find Hindustani ragas in padams.
Okay.
In Javalis you will find Hindustani ragas like Kapi. You will find Behag, in which we have Javalis.
So what we call Ghana ragams.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so Ghana ragams. But then the fact is that here we have, and this is what is, I am right now totally fascinated by Kshetragya. And each one of his padams has this haunting quality of the music that immediately tells you what the heroine is feeling, what type of a heroine she is, whether she is older, younger, experienced, inexperienced, whether she has hope, does not have hope. It is so evident in the manner that he uses the ragam. And this was the fourth of his compositions that we have seen Atte's choreography in. And even each one of them, her choreography has responded to the beauty of the music. And I think a large part of it has to do with, as Satish was saying, of how to move from phrase to phrase, how long, what is the distance between a phrase to phrase and how it will be held, whether there will be low notes, high notes, whether there will be gamakas, how to convey the message. And that, I think, is how the composers saw their content and put the music into it. And in Kshetragya's padams in particular, I have found this to be so rich because as I was saying, the heroine comes alive in just the manner of the singing. You don't have to dance to it. It's the manner of the singing that tells you the mood of the heroine, what she is feeling, old, young, experienced or not. And of course, as I said, I'm fascinated by his talam. This Kshetraputta talam, why is it that he has chosen this at odd times, odd levels? As a composer, what would have prompted him to do that? How is it different from a Mishra Chapu? Why is it that it is differently used? And I somehow feel it just makes it different in the Kshetragya padams, the use of course, his musicality, but also his talams.
I think essentially the two talas are different, though they are split in 3 and 4s. That is, in Tishra Triputta we have the Lagu with 3 aksharas and 2 dhrutams with 2 aksharas. If you actually talk about the akshara count of both talas, if you talk to a mridangist, he would say that a Tishra Triputta is 7 aksharas and Mishra Chapu is not 7 but 3.5.
3.5, yeah, I've heard that.
Yes, which probably makes it logical for us to understand that 2 avartanams of Mishra Chapu would fit into 1 avartanam of Tishra Triputta. So the cycle of 3 and 4 probably comes much faster. It is just double in speed.
Yeah.
So this will keep repeating itself throughout a padam if a padam is in Mishra Chapu. So the feel is different.
Yeah.
But if you actually talk about Tishra Triputta and if you put it in Vilamba Kalam, and especially in most of the padams it is in Vilamba Kalam.
Yeah.
You can call it Rettakala Tishra Triputta also, like we call Rettakala Adi Talam.
Yeah.
So the 4s are very prominent. The 4 matras between each akshara.
The akshara has become divided by 4 rather than by 7.
By 7.
3, 4, yeah.
So that 3-4, the cycle of repeating itself, that 3-4 pattern is not very obvious in Tishra Triputta.
Okay.
So takka dimmi, takka dimmi, takka dimmi, takka dimmi, takka dimmi.
It's just that there are 7 counts of takadimi, but primarily takadimi.
Exactly. So you will have the feeling of Chatushra in Tishra Triputta as opposed to Mishra Chapu. So if you actually hear a padam in Tishra Triputta, sometimes even because of the edupus that you said, different edupus in the padam of not only the pallavi but also the placement of words in different aksharas or in between aksharas, it is not easily, you cannot decipher it that it is in Tishra Triputta.
Yeah.
Sometimes even as a musician, when I am working on a padam, an audio comes to me, I sometimes struggle to understand where the edupu is.
Okay.
So with the help of the Tirmanam and the Mridangam, I come to the original placement, the edupu of the Pallavi or the Anupallavi. Like I had a problem in Bala Vinave also.
Okay.
When I actually heard it, I could kind of understand that it probably begins after 3 aksharas. or let's say
On the
one and a half
third,
aksharas on the
yeah.
third, or one and a half aksharas. But it took some time for me to understand. I think it is because of the feeling of chatusra in the tala, and also because of the different placements of the sahitya, the words
Yeah.
on the tala.
And we were, as I was saying, that the feeling of the dancer is emphasized by the manner in which the ragam is placed. All of us, like I said, we're not musicians. We don't really know what ragam, but that intensity is felt. Is it only because they are ghana ragas or rakti ragas, as you said, or can different ragams which may not have so many phraseologies also have the same intensity?
I think intensity is with respect to the nature of the raga. A raga need not have a lot of phrases also in it. Like if you actually talk about Kamboji, and if you talk about a raga like Ahiri or Ghantarava, all these ragas are extremely intense in their nature. But Kamboji obviously is a Ghana raga that is taken for expansion in major concerts. In concerts it's a major raga. You have so many concerts, you can even sing Kamboji for an hour or more than that. But if you talk about a raga like Ghantaravam or Ahiri, the phrases are limited, but if you actually sing it, the intensity is very high. So the padams are usually tuned in ragas that are intense in nature, and they are usually not in ragas that are Hindustani. That is ragas with a lighter feel. If you talk about Hamir Kalyani, you talk about Behag, or you talk about Kapi, these are ragas that are, I don't know if to use the term light is right for these ragas.
Well,
So
maybe not light. It's just that their impact is different.
impact is different.
It's like they're of a different rasa.
Different rasa. And if you talk about the concert platform, if you talk about a vocal concert platform, these are ragas that are usually the post Pallavi ragas or post main ragas.
Okay. So give us an example of an ahiri or a.
Like for example, in Ahiri the phrases are limited. I'll take a Tyagaraja Kriti and I'll sing it for you. There is a Kriti of Tyagaraja in which Tyagaraja talks about offering different flowers to Rama.
Okay.
So obviously the composition is in the form of a kirtana, not a kriti essentially, where you have different stanzas, multiple charanas, but with the same tune.
Okay.
But I feel the intensity of the composition is so much because of the raga itself, Ahiri. So if you talk about Ahiri, I will not sing the notes, but I'll just sing the phrase. For example, now this phrase you would have surely heard it in different compositions, maybe in an Ashtapadi.
No, in Ashtapadi, in fact, it is used for Kathita Samaye Piharihi. It is. I love that entry because it has that intensity of waiting, that yearning is in exactly the same phrase that you just sang.
Kathita Samaye Pihari Radhanana Yovanam
Mama Piyo
Na
Rupam Piyo
Yovanam
Yami
Kamiga Sharanam. So the whole phrase, I think the gamut of Ahiri comes in the Pallavi
in
itself.
that one
In the line,
yes,
in the line itself.
one line, yes.
That is the case in this Tyagaraja Kriti also. I'm starting from the Anupallavi because that is the way of starting this Kriti. Sompayina manasuto nimpayina bangaru kampalato manji champaka pulanu chalare Rama Chandruni Pai. So the feeling of bhakti, utmost bhakti, with utmost devotion that he wants to offer all those flowers. Probably, as a singer, I imagine that, he is having a lot of tears in his eyes while he's offering those flowers to Rama. That intensity is brought by this phrase in Ahiri. So in Ahiri, you have these phrases only repeating themselves most of the times, but it is the intensity that is brought.
One of the things that I really enjoy about these conversations is we as dancers like to think that we are the people who are bringing the emotion, experiencing and sharing. But every time I talk to Satish, and before that, when we had Anna, Sridhar Anna singing for us, the discussion used to be about how the singer is feeling while singing that particular phrase. And I never tire of saying that it is at least 50% of the dancer's performance. This exchange, this feeling, the emotion that is brought in by the singer. Same way, it's not only the singer, it's also the other musical instruments. A flute, how the flute, whether the singer may be singing 2, 3, 4, 5 notes in between, but the flute may be stuck in one note that holds that pathos, while the elaboration is going on in some other space. And without that feeling, without that rasanubhuti in the singer, in the musicians, as dancers, no matter how much we are feeling, because we know what the content is, there is no way that we will be able to express so much. Satish, thank you so much for sharing this insight, and I promise you, you're not going to get away so easily. We still have at least 2 more padams of Hattesh to go through, and Kshetrajna is going to be the platform off of which we are going to jump and ask you a million other questions, because I know for a lot of you this is a lot of Greek and Latin, because there's just too much discussion on technicalities. But then I know that there are others like me, my dancer friends, who would like to know exactly what it is that makes this experience of ours meaningful in terms of how the musicians feel when they are going into the music, because 50% of what we do is made up of the music. So thank you so much. And any last words?
Thank you. Actually, it's a wonderful experience for me to be having these kind of discussions with you, Akka. I've never been on camera or on YouTube channels before to discuss all these things. But yes, when we actually talk about these topics, then we introspect on many musical aspects of compositions, why they are similar or why they are different, why a certain phrase is used for a certain sahitya, and so many things. But I would surely like to tell dancers who are not initiated into classical music, since the music that we use is Carnatic music for Bharatanatyam or for Kuchipudi, it will be nice, and especially since we are talking about Kamboji, it will be nice if you could listen to many kritis or kirtanas or varnams in the raga, just for the experience of a basic understanding of the raga. You need not even know the phrases, you need not know the swaras, the phrases in detail, but you just listen to it and kind of try to relate to what you have heard in your own dance composition, say in a padam or a javali, which is so similar to things that are there in a kriti, just to appreciate it, and probably it will make you enjoy the dance compositions more. If you listen to more of Kacheri compositions, also listen to Tyagaraja compositions, listen to Muthuswami Dikshitar compositions, Papanasam Shivan, there are umpteen number of compositions in Kamboji. You need not just listen to kritis, javalis, tillanas, different padams. You have Jatiswarams also, you have Swarajatis, Kana Avalanin, and even dance compositions. If not very fond of music compositions, that is in Kacheri compositions, then you listen to Margam items also, in order to find similarities and what is so striking about the raga, so that you enjoy your experience of dancing to those compositions more.
Thank you. That's some really good advice. And I think all of us need to move out of our comfort zone of the items that we know and go into looking at items or compositions that are in different ragams for us to be able to enjoy the experience. After all, we expect the musicians to understand what we need from them when we are dancing. I think as dancers, if we understand what makes that ragam beautiful, we can allow them a little leeway in the music and still get the same level of enjoyment when we are dancing. Stay tuned. We are still to talk to Archita. Thank you, Satish.